think you should.
Persona 5 has got me all types of hyped for this series. It's so it's so good. I just got done basically talking to a couple of people about about episode 2 for Persona 5, and that's what we're talking about today. And just dude, I don't know what else to say about the episode than I already have on Twitter, and it's just it's so good. And there was something that I was trying to say, I think last week when I did episode 1, that I'm gonna say here at the beginning of the episode 2 review, and that this series is literally shot for shot or scene for scene of the video game. That's what it really felt like to me when I was watching episode 1, and then after I watched episode 2. It felt like I was actually watching, the scenes from the game. And obviously, I'm not playing it, and honestly it's really tempting to go back and play Persona 5 all over again, but obviously with my New Game Plus and stuff, but it actually felt like I was like watching the game all over again. It felt like I was still like rewatching those scenes whilst I was playing the game. That's what it felt like to me, and it was just done so well. Like the animation, the art style, just it's so good. Episode 2 literally just I felt like it went above and beyond, honestly. Episode 1 was fucking amazing. Episode 2, oh my god, I had an orgasm. Episode 2 was so good. So the episode starts off where we left off last week, and it was Ryuji and Ren. That's the official name for the main character. They're in the palace. They're in Kamoshida's palace, which is a castle of Shujin Academy, and Ren just awakened Arsene, his persona. And then obviously they get out, and then they're actually immediately basically sent back into the real world, back into like the front of the school. And then obviously they get in trouble like they do in the game, and they actually show us an intro. And I wasn't expecting it, but they played it, and I thought it was really good. I thought it looked really good, and the song of choice fits like the whole like Persona 5 feel, and I really like that. And then they actually go back to where the game is actually currently at. We're just watching like flashbacks of what happened in the past. So right now Ren is currently talking to Sai Nijima, which is Makoto's sister, which we'll meet later on towards the series continues, obviously. But he's in the middle of an interrogation. He's talking about his whole entire time, like as he was there going to school at Shujin Academy for 6 months. He's explaining it, and then Sai is like really confused because she doesn't understand why the Phantom Thieves would go after Kamoshida, because there should have been no connection towards Ren or Kamoshida whatsoever, because it was his first day of school and they had never really met prior to it. So it's really confusing, right? And so, they continue on. He gets into class, and we see a couple of characters. In this episode, we see a couple of characters that, they aren't, directly linked to Ren yet in terms of a social link. Like Haru Okumura, that's what her last name is. Haru, we see her, doing, messing around with the flowers in the garden, and that's what she does. That's what one of her main hobbies is, and we see her doing that towards, the second half of the episode, and we even get like a little glimpse of Makoto. She's like surrounded by a bunch of people, and she's talking to them because isn't she like a class rep or something for Shujin Academy? I don't remember. It's been a while, but yeah, so we see a couple of characters there at Shujin Academy who do end up joining the Phantom Thieves later on. Spoilers, I know, but I'm speaking to this as if you've already played the game, and I apologize if I've just basically spoiled that for you. So, anyways, it's lunchtime, I guess, and so Sakamoto, Ryuji, and Ren are going and getting lunch basically, right? And so they do like this sequence of events where it's like there's this I don't know, it looks like a loaf of bread, honestly. I don't really remember what they called it, but they both grab it at the same time and they're like shocked, right? And then they go at the first hideout that the Phantom Thieves actually go to, when they're thinking about, okay, are we gonna go to the cognitive world, like the metaverse? Like in, I forget what those like the subway tunnels are called. I forget what it's called. I don't know if that's actually just literally called Mementos. It's called Mementos. That, like, if they're gonna go Mementos or into a palace or not. And so they're basically on the rooftop of the school, and they're talking about, are we gonna go back to that that castle place, because they still don't even really know what it is, right? And so they're basically like, yeah, we're gonna do it. So we get a scene with Igor again. He's basically talking about, like, yeah, basically his rehabilitation is starting. And like I said, if you played the game, you already know what the whole rehabilitation is talking about with the main character. But there's that, and then they go back to the school in the very next scene, and we get a couple we get a little bit of backstory, exposition. That's what the word I was looking for. I almost forgot about it. We get a little bit of exposition about Ryuji's character, and it's that everyone in the school sees him as a troublemaker, and they're telling Ren, like, don't mess around with him because you're just gonna get in trouble and yada yada yada. And it turns out that before the main character actually showed up to Shujin Academy, he was actually a part of the track team. And Kamoshida was still like doing this whole bunch of like shady shit that it's just like he eventually had to try and do something. And then in the episode we actually find out later on that Ryuji broke his leg, and the reason why his leg got broken was because of Kamoshida. So Kamoshida is not only abusing kids, but he's like purposely hurting them in terms of like just injuries that basically just completely take him away from like a sports team. And in fact, the track team doesn't even exist in Shujin Academy anymore. It got completely disbanded, and like the rest of like the track members, they're waiting until they can actually get to college, so that way they can actually start running again in a track team. And they're talking about like, don't pester Kamoshida, yada yada yada, stuff like that. And he just wants to end up doing something, and that's like his whole reasoning for trying to go after Kamoshida, for going inside the metaverse and the palaces and mementos. It's because he's tired of like all these people just kind of ruining others' lives because they're so selfish and needy for unnecessary reasons, right? So they talk about stop antagonizing Kamoshida, and so they finally get to the palace. They're inside the palace, and at the same time as that's happening, they see inside of the palace that the students are physically getting assaulted or getting injured. But those aren't like the real students. That's just them inside of the cognitive world. But that's how they feel whenever they're inside of Shujin Academy, whenever they're anywhere near Kamoshida whatsoever. And at the same time, and I'm gonna say two things about this. A, fuck Kamoshida, and I'll explain why I say fuck him, dude. He's such a fucking... Oh, I hate this motherfucker. But I like how they finally showed us what they didn't show us in the video game. In the game, they basically say like, yeah, he's like abusing kids and etc etc. And Shiho, as I was talking about before, she's the best friend of An, and she's supposedly getting literally assaulted and beat by Kamoshida, right? And so, she's getting hit. We see a scene of Kamoshida dragging her by the arm inside of a private fucking room, his fucking like room or whatever, wherever the fuck he does in there, and he actually physically hits her. Dude, I was so pissed. I was so pissed when I saw this because I already didn't like him when I was playing the game, but oh my fucking god, I lost my fucking shit when I saw that. Dude, oh my fucking god, it pissed me off. Dude, and so, Ryuji and Ren are like there, they're talking about like what are they gonna do, etc etc. And then they hear a voice, and some of you may recognize this voice or may already know who it is, and that is this cat little creature named Morgana. And yes, I say a cat because when he's outside in the real world and not inside like the metaverse, he actually takes the form of a black cat. It's actually kind of funny. They actually have a little funny exchange where Ren gets Morgana out of a cell because he was inside of a cell and he was locked in. And so Ren then gets behind Morgana and he's like, I'm gonna pet you. And he starts petting Morgana, and Morgana is like, stop, you pet me around there. And then he basically just kind of like starts meowing and purring like a cat, and it was actually kind of funny. And so they get into like the main like room, kind of like court area of the palace and the castle, right? They see Kamoshida, and then he goes with the whole exposition of like, yeah, I did this, I did that, yada yada yada, like I already explained before. And then Ryuji Sakamoto, he then gets his persona. But before that happens, they do explain that, yeah, the Kamoshida they're just seeing right now inside of the metaverse and the palace, that's Kamoshida's shadow, which is basically, you know, the desires and, you know, the desires of what the actual person in the real world, you know, takes a form of. And it's Kamoshida and how he feels himself as a king of a castle, and that's why, you know, the cognitive world of the palace looks like a castle, but it's still Shujin Academy, because there is a sign that still says that it's Shujin Academy. So after he realizes that Kamoshida did all this fucking, you know, crazy shit, whatever, you know, Morgana and Ren are being like pushed down to the ground, right? They're being stepped on, and then Ren's like, are you gonna really like take that shit, dude? And then Ryuji's like, nah, I'm not gonna fucking take that shit. I'm gonna take back what was mine, and I'm gonna you know, get my payback in some sort of way. I forget what he says, but then they play the theme, and then he starts, you know, kind of like, you know, the whole anime shit, and then he rips off his mask, and then once he rips off his mask, he finally gets his persona, and it's Captain Kidd, and Captain Kidd is fucking awesome. And then once, you know, he kind of does like a little pose, this actually gave me goosebumps when I was watching the episode, by the way. I was watching him like take off the mask, and then like there was like a tornado, like a blue tornado that formed around him, and then fucking Captain Kidd shows up, and then he gets his own fucking outfit for Yuji, and I was like, dude, oh my god, what are they gonna do next? He does like a little smile towards the camera, and then they play Last Surprise. They play Last fucking Surprise, which is the one theme I wanted to hear the most. And if you don't know what Last Surprise is, go look it up, go look at the theme. It's absolutely wonderful. And if you're wondering why I love the theme so much, it's the theme that plays literally every single time you get into a fight when you're playing the game. And it's fucking fantastic. They played it, and then, you know, they do it similar to the video game where they start hitting, like, I forget what they call them in the game, but they hit like the shadows, which actually Ren, the main character in the game, can use as a persona. They all hit him with a super effective move of their, you know, their typing inside of the game, right? Because that's how they're still treating it. They're treating it as almost it is like similar to the game, but, you know, it's still an anime, of course. They all hit him with a super effective move. Morgana pulls out his fucking sword, and he's like, follow me. And then they do a fucking all-out attack, and Ren does his little fucking pose with his gloves. Dude, oh my god, I literally fucking jizzed in my pants, dude. It was so good. It was so good. I could not fucking believe it. I could not fucking believe it when I saw it. They played Last Surprise. They did the all-out attack fucking shit. Oh, it was so good. It was so fucking good. And then, of course, Kamoshida's like, you fucking, yeah. He starts complaining. And then here comes, Shadow, not Shadow, but like a cognitive world version of An inside of the palace. She's wearing a bikini, and then yeah, it's kind of uncomfortable after that because, you know, she's like 16 and then he's like 30, 35. Dude, I'm rewatching the scene again. I'm just like, no, I fucking hate this bastard. Oh, I fucking hate this bastard, dude. Kamoshida. Fuck Kamoshida, dude. I fucking hate this cunt. So, you know, the episode ends with Ryuji and Ren. They leave the palace, and then they go out and eat, and then Ren actually explains his exposition, his backstory of why he's on probation. And then, you know, they end up becoming better friends, and then they actually end the episode there, and they actually have like a similar, like, kind of like final part of the episode where they do something similar to the game. I can't really explain it, but they do something really cool and similar to the game. They're like topics, and then it's like character. This isn't a part of the game. This is actually entirely on its own. The rest of it afterwards pretty much is. That's what I was talking about. But they do topics, and then they show characters, and then it's on. So the next episode, we're maybe potentially gonna get on into the Phantom Thieves, or she's just gonna be like kind of like a main focus of the next episode, which, you know, is always a good thing for me because I actually really like On. in this game a lot. You know, she's only like really, she only she only really seems like a bad character in like the beginning of the game because you think she's like a whore or something, but she's not. She's actually like a really good character, and she actually, you know, isn't like a slut, but like Kamoshida's making it seem like she is. And you know, people in the school, they did this in the episode. Ren and An, they have like a little bit of like conversation between each other, and everybody in the class is like, "Oh, that means Takamaki is cheating on Kamoshida," and I'm just like, "What the fuck are you talking about? All they did was talk to each other. What the fuck does that have to do with anything?" They okay, so they do topics, they go with character, and then it shows on, and then they show recommended next, and it looks like Shiho is like actually like the picture, and then they play or they show a quote, and I think this is a quote from On actually, and it says, "A beautiful rose has thorns." I think that's a quote that On eventually ends up saying like at some point in the game. I don't really remember, but it was really cool. I actually liked how they ended the episode, and overall, this episode was just really great from the beginning of the episode to the music to the animation, the art style, just everything about this episode was fucking great. I couldn't I I was shook. I was shook by this episode. I was honestly just really surprised like what they did with the episode. It was really good. Go watch it if you haven't already. Go watch for the first episode and go watch the second, and you'll understand what I was talking about. Watch the series. It's gonna be really good. And like I said in the last episode, go play the fucking game because it's really good too. So anyways, that's the end of the video, because that's the end of the episode. And I have nothing else left to add on top of the to what we were just talking about. So anyways, that's the end of the video. I hope you guys did enjoy. If you did, leave a like, and if you're new to the channel, please subscribe and then push the notification button, because apparently YouTube doesn't want to put my videos in your sub box if you subscribe. So push the bell and get notified whenever I do upload, of course. I'll see you guys in the next one. Have a wonderful day, and I'm out. Peace.